Hi, thanks for watching BibleMountain.com. Many people in our society refuse to believe that we should be afraid of God, and they believe a God that inspires fear is not a legitimate God. However, Exodus 28 lists some small sins where the punishment was death. And then in Leviticus 10, we see that Nadab and Abihu were killed because they used the wrong incense. And then in 1 Corinthians 11, we see that some Corinthian Christians had died because they were taking the Lord's Supper in an unworthy manner. And so all this teaches us that we should fear the God of the Bible, the one and only true God. So let's take a look at this in Exodus 28. The context of this is God has the Israelites at Mount Sinai. He's giving them the Mosaic Law. These verses are from a section where he is telling them to make garments for Aaron and the priests. So let's start reading at verse 31. You shall make the robe of the ephod of olive blue. There shall be an opening at its top in the middle of it. Around its opening there shall be a binding of woven work, like the opening of a coat of mail, so that it will not be torn. You shall make on its hem pomegranates of blue and purple and scarlet material, all around on its hem, and bells of gold between them all around, a golden bell and a pomegranate, a golden bell and a pomegranate, all around on the hem of the robe. It shall be on Aaron when he ministers, and its tinkling shall be heard when he enters and leaves the holy place before Yahweh, so that he will not die. So here the Israelites are being told to make robes for Aaron. This robe is supposed to have pomegranates and bells on its hem, and it's supposed to alternate between a bell and a pomegranate. And the purpose of these bells is so that they ring and there's a tinkling sound as Aaron walks around the tent of meeting. But notice the consequences if he doesn't wear these bells. He would die. And that's a serious consequence for something that might seem as trivial as whether or not Aaron has bells on the hem of his garment. Verse 36. You shall also make a plate of pure gold, and shall engrave on it, like the engravings of a seal, holy to Yahweh. You shall fasten it on a blue cord, and it shall be on the turban. It shall be at the front of the turban. It shall be on Aaron's forehead, and Aaron shall take away the iniquity of the holy things which the sons of Israel consecrate with regard to all their holy gifts. And it shall always be on his forehead, that they may be accepted before Yahweh. Here they're told to make a plate. Now this is not a plate that they ate off of. Think more of a name plate. And it's supposed to have engraved on it, holy to Yahweh. This plate was supposed to go on Aaron's turban, and that meant that it would be on his forehead. Notice the word accepted. The reason for wearing this plate was so that the Israelites would be accepted by Yahweh. That's a serious consequence for something that to us seems rather trivial and mundane, like whether Aaron has the right gold plate on his forehead. Verse 39. You shall weave the tunic of checkered work of fine linen, and shall make a turban of fine linen, and you shall make a sash the work of a weaver. For Aaron's sons you shall make tunics, you shall also make sashes for them, and you shall make caps for them for glory and for beauty. You shall put them on Aaron your brother and on his sons with him, and you shall anoint them and ordain them and consecrate them, that they may serve me as priests. You shall make for them linen breeches to cover their bare flesh. They shall reach from the loins even to the thighs. They shall be on Aaron and on his sons when they enter the tent of meeting, or when they approach the altar to minister in the holy place, so that they do not incur guilt and die. It shall be a statute forever to him and to his descendants after him. The pronoun they refers to all these garments that Aaron and his sons were supposed to wear. And they were supposed to wear those garments when they entered the tent of meeting, and also when they approached the altar. The altar was outside the tent of meeting, and so there were two different times they were supposed to wear these garments. And then notice the consequences for not doing it correctly, so that they do not incur guilt and die. So these garments might seem like a trivial and mundane thing. Were they wearing the correct garments? And yet the consequences of not wearing the correct garments while they were in the tent of meeting or when they approached the altar was that they would incur guilt and die. And so there's a serious consequences for something that to us would seem like small sins. Now let's take a look at Leviticus 10. This is verse 1 and 2. Now Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took their respective fire pans, and after putting fire in them, placed incense on it, and offered strange fire before Yahweh, which he had not commanded them. And fire came out from the presence of Yahweh and consumed them, and they died before Yahweh. So here we see that Nadab and Abihu died because they used the wrong incense. That's a serious consequence for something as trivial as whether or not they were using the correct incense. Finally, let's look at 1 Corinthians 11, verses 27 through 30. Therefore, whoever eats the bread or drinks the cup of the Lord in an unworthy manner shall be guilty of the body and the blood of the Lord. But a man must examine himself, and in so doing he is to eat of the bread and drink of the cup. For he who eats and drinks judgment to himself, if he does not judge the body rightly. For this reason many among you are weak and sick, and a number sleep. So here we see that some of the Corinthian Christians were weak and sick, and some of them had even died because they were taking the Lord's Supper in an unworthy manner. And that's a serious consequence for something as trivial as eating food and taking drink in an unworthy manner. As I said earlier, many people refuse to believe that we should be afraid of God, and they believe that a God who inspires fear is not a legitimate God. But we see in Exodus 28 that God inspired some fear. He listed some small sins where the punishment was death. And we see in Leviticus 10 an example of being put to death for something trivial. Nadab and Abihu were killed for using the wrong incense. And then 1 Corinthians 11 tells us some of the Corinthian Christians had died because they were taking the Lord's Supper in an unworthy manner. And what all this teaches us is that we should fear the God of the Bible, the one and only true God. If you haven't joined my email list yet, please do so. First of all, it is free. By signing up, you get immediate access to all my free content. It'll be delivered right to your email inbox. This is the best way to make sure you don't miss out on any of my content. In order to sign up, go to BibleMountain.com, click on follow. There will be a place there to enter your email address. Once again, thank you for watching BibleMountain.com.